All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Today I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I've been getting a lot of requests. I know a lot of advisors out there have a big, background when it comes to life insurance, but a lot of us haven't written it in quite a while. And even those of us that do life insurance all the time, I thought it might be nice today for me to do a sort of a life insurance overview and a little bit about the philosophy of life insurance, and then about how to design different types of cases today. So, hopefully this will help you guys as a refresher course. But I know there's a lot of guys out there that maybe focus on AUM or annuities that aren't doing any life insurance at all. So hopefully this will be a good general baseline understanding. Now, when it comes to life insurance, obviously we're going to be talking about permanent life insurance, right? So we're not going to be talking about term insurance or anything like that. We're going to be talking mostly about whole life and universal life. Um, the opportunity, though, that exists right now is very, very different and much, much better than I think we've ever had in the history of the life insurance business. So I believe right now, because of the Secure Act and because of the pandemic and everything that's going on, life insurance is on people's brains, right? And I also believe that the life insurance industry has done a really great job creating product that clients can really understand and can really get behind because it gets so many birds with the same stone, right? Life insurance isn't just about protecting your family anymore to replace income, right? It's about building wealth, it's about estate planning, it's about tax sheltering, it's about long-term care. So if we were doing our live class, I would be up on the board talking about life insurance and showing you pictures and graphs and illustrations and telling stories and everything. But because we're on a webinar, I'm just going to get right down to it and just going to start talking about how to position life insurance. Now, that being said, one thing I do want to just mention to you, and this is almost the exact same conversation that I have had with clients. I will say to them, the majority of the time, life insurance is not set up correctly. So I don't want to say that the life insurance is not sold properly. I don't want to say that the products suck. I typically just say, life insurance, as far as I can tell, 99% of the time is not properly positioned. And I use the analogy a lot of times of you can have a great product and no real strategy, and the product's going to fall flat. It's not really going to work. And by the same token, you can have a very, very mediocre product, and if you put it within a great strategy and have it affect and be part of a macroeconomic plan, then it's really going to sing and do great things. So we always want to have our insurance in a strategy. It always wants to be part of a tax harvesting strategy or a pension max strategy or a charitable trust strategy or an estate planning strategy. We don't really want the insurance to stand alone. Okay? But that being said, most people out there, and you got to know this going in, you have to admit it to yourself, right? Most people. Okay, so let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, so I think we're okay now. I think I might have blocked out for a minute. We're having some bad storms here, so I think I might have just blocked out our internet. But in any case, assuming you can hear me now, what I was saying, if you didn't hear me, was people have a negative view of life insurance. So we got to go in there knowing that they have a negative view. We can't just kind of go full steam ahead with life insurance. We got to get past their negative view. So this is what I say to people. I've had a lot of different clients with a lot of different experience with life insurance, and one of the things that is sort of the common theme is people don't love life insurance because insurance companies are really, really good at not losing money, right? However, modern insurance programs that weren't available 10 or 20 years ago are more collaborations between the insurance companies and the clients. Some may even have an investment component, but certainly they have components for accelerating benefits. Like sometimes they'll have a long-term care or chronic illness benefit on there. To be able to tax shelter cash in life insurance, it's one of the last and greatest places where people can actually get tax-free money. So there's just some of these other ideas that I want to sort of introduce you guys to and talk to you as we kind of review your life insurance portfolio. If it comes to it that we end up wanting to re-engineer your insurance portfolio to give you more benefit without having you to pay extra money, are you open to that idea? And that's my buy-in question right there, right? If we find a better way to manage your insurance portfolio, or if we're able to increase benefit, or if we need to re-engineer to get you better programs or a better deal, are you open to allowing us to take over your insurance portfolio? So that's a couple different ways to say it from the prospecting side. Up on the screen here, I've got a universal life policy. It's a very simple policy. I'm not going to name any specific companies today, but this is what we call, I guess, just maybe a limited pay. So showing somebody that they don't have to pay on the insurance forever. As a 52-year-old, maybe they want to do this instead of a SEP IRA. Maybe they want to do this, husband and wife instead of other savings, or maybe they want to take money out of a retirement account. I don't know. Maybe it's an executive bonus type of situation, right? But you can get $1 million policy for $50,000 a year, and I always tell people, you don't have to put in $50,000 a year. We were overfunding these policies. And one of the reasons why we're overfunding it is because we want to take advantage of the tax-sheltered nature of the cash value inside of this particular policy, right? So I like to focus on not rate of return, guys. If you go into ledgers and graphs and you start showing people rate of return, you're going to go down a rabbit hole that you will not be able to get out of, because there are endless permutations, comparing different types of policies, companies, rate of return, whatever. But what I like to do is I like to look at, well, at what point is this policy going to start not returning you, or I should say, when is this policy going to start returning you growth at least equivalent to what you're putting in, right? So I would say the first year you're putting your 50 grand, 9,000 is available for immediate withdrawal, right? 40,000 in this case is available in your accumulation, but they don't let you get all of it. Why is that? Well, the reason is because they got to have your money invested, and they got to start making money off of you. Because, and I don't mind saying that to people, they got to stay making money off of you, because if you die, they're on the hook for $1 million. So the second year, however, you put your 50, and you put 100,000 in. 90 is now available in your accumulation, but the cash value is 57, right? Here's where the growth gets interesting. Just between the second and third year, that's pretty early on, guys, right? The cash value is going from 57 to 107, meaning it's going up by how much you're putting in. That's pretty awesome, right? Between the second and third year, and most policies, even whole life policies, will show you increases in value, roughly equivalent to what you put in after just a few years. So that's a great thing. What that means is, if I jump forward just to a different year where I can actually do the math really easy right here, in year 9, you're putting in your 50 grand, but now your thing is growing from 504 to 592, right? That's $88,000 worth of growth. How do you feel about not having full access to all of your money in the first year, so that by year 9, you're getting $88,000 worth of tax-free growth? Are you okay with that? That's a real simple way to talk about it, right? I'm not going to say, well, your rate of return is 4.3%. due to whatever. It's the idea of, hey, you're now getting back a lot more money than you're putting in, so this becomes a little bit of a cash cow for us, right? And then if you can fast forward here, number one, if this client is interested in cash, this is how I would set it up, okay? I do think it's a mistake, though, to actually do a policy this way, because I don't think the clients are actually that interested in cash. I think if we're not good at selling life insurance, like if we're really weak at selling life insurance, then we have to sell cash because we don't know how to sell benefit, and that may be the case. And I don't want to insult anybody, but that is what a lot of us do, which is take the easy way out. Oh, I'm going to sell the cash and make this a no-brainer. The cash is not what your clients want. The cash is what they think they want. All right, if you've been around for any period of time, I've been around since the mid-'90s in the life insurance world. I tell people there's not a single time in my life, not a single one, where I have had a client dip into and spend the majority of their cash. They might dip into it and spend some of it, but never, ever, ever had a client spend the majority of their cash. So if they're never going to spend the majority of their cash, right, what do we actually want for them? We want benefit, right? We want available cash if they need it, but at the end of the day, they're going to die, right? And they don't get the cash plus the benefit. They get the benefit. And this benefit is usually good for chronic illness or death benefit. It's an amazing deal, guys. It's an amazing deal, right? So at the end of this guy in his mid-60s, he will have put in, I don't know, $700,000 of money, $1 million of the cash, but $2 million worth of benefit, right? If they're going to start taking cash, or they're going to not want to put money in here, if it's in a universal life policy, you got to reduce the death benefit. So that's what I'm showing here. If you guys don't know what that means, what it means is in a universal life policy, they're paying cost of insurance between what the cash value is and what their death benefit is. So this is what they call the corridor of insurance. So again, if they've got $1 million for the cash, and they're not paying for $1.9 million of insurance anymore, right? Their cost of insurance is on the difference between the 1.9 and the million. So again, about 900,000 to $1 million, that's what they're paying cost of insurance on. If they want to keep this insurance forever, which most people do, you got to reduce benefit. Right? So by reducing benefit in the year 15, what's happened is they're only paying cost of insurance now for the difference between $1 million and 1.2. So if this person really invested this for cash, we can reduce the death benefit to 1.2 and have their cost of insurance be very, very low. And then as their policies grow, their death benefit will go back up because the cash value is going to bump that death benefit back up. Right. So in a perfect world, if they're not spending money, right, they're not paying for a lot of insurance anymore. That's how universal life works. That's the basics. If you don't reduce death benefit, then they're paying for, as an 85-year-old, 81-year-old, however old, they're paying for incredible amounts of term insurance, and these things usually are not really sustainable. Right. That's when you hear of universal life blowing up on you. Right? It's not because universal life is a horrible product, because people don't know how to manage it. And if you are not here, which you're not going to be, you're not going to be here 30 years down the road. So if you're not here to manage it for your client, you have to explain to them up front. When you start taking money out or you stop paying, you got to reduce benefit. Right? In whole life, that's not the case. That's only the case in universal life, because whole life does not have cost of insurance. Right, so that's the basics of universal life. Let me just switch you to a whole life deal, okay? And I'm going to show you 4 different completely scenarios that I think will help you guys understand the differences of how these different types of insurance policies work. Right, this scenario right here is just standard whole life insurance. It's a 58-year-old. I did a client that's a little bit older, and I did a dump in. And the reason why I did the dump in is because this client had a bunch of cash laying around, and this happens all the time, right? This life insurance is their emergency fund, right? So a 58-year-old could plop in a virtually unlimited amount of money into this insurance policy. And I think this might have been the maximum amount I could put in and not mech the contract. Even if I did mech the contract, quite honestly, I don't care. The meching of the contract only matters if they're going to spend all the cash, and they're not going to spend the cash, right? They're going to get the benefit. But in any case, this is kind of a cool thing because it's the same scenario, right? You plop in 117 grand. This is just what the guy had in his money market, by the way. I said, let's get it out of the money market. Let's plop it into an insurance policy. Of the 117 grand, 100,000 is available for immediate withdrawal. All right, and then they get $750,000 of death benefit. So this 17,500, this just represents somebody not contributing into their 401k so much. Or redirecting a 401k contribution or TSP or 403 contribution into the life insurance. And the idea behind that is, hey, let's not allow your deferred taxable accounts to grow too big so that it creates a massive tax situation for you down the road. Let's redirect some money into insurance. Maybe they make too much income to do a Roth, right? But you don't make too much income to funnel money into insurance. You can see here in this illustration, what I liked here is you can see the increase in cash value each year. So they're putting in 17, you're getting 16.9 back, not so bad for $750,000 worth of insurance, right? Right? You put in 17, the next time you get 18, and then it goes on and on and on. Again, let's just find a year I can do the math pretty easily. Let's look at 395. So in the 14th year, your cash is 395, grows to 424. So that's about $30,000 worth of growth. Not so bad on $17,000 worth of premium. Good deal, right? And the cash value boosts the death benefit. And here, the nice thing about this is what I wanted to show you. In a whole life policy, you don't have to reduce the death benefit to make it work. Right? In a whole life policy, the death benefit will just continue to grow. So by the time this guy gets to life expectancy, this looks like it was a 30 pay, right? By the time this guy gets to life expectancy, he's not paying money anymore, and his policy is still growing beyond 1.2 million bucks. All right. Now remember, this is an accelerated benefit rider, death benefit plus accelerated benefit, meaning you can access this money for long-term care, right? And I'm not going to go over all the features and benefits of the long-term care, but it's chronic illness, 2 out of 6 ADLs, just like everybody else, tax-free, pretty simple, right? This doesn't look like a bad deal. When life insurance starts to look at like a bad deal is when you start saying, hey, let's invest money in life insurance, right? Let's use life insurance as an investment. Life insurance is not an investment, and it never will be, right? There are certain ways to get more cash value in life insurance by overfunding or linking it to an index or whatever. But life insurance itself is not an investment because you can't lose money, right? Technically, an investment is only something you can lose money in. And I might explain to people, life insurance, you can't ever lose money. In whole life, by the way, it's the only life insurance where you can contractually not put in more money than you get back in benefit. Right? You cannot put more premium in than you get back. You can't do it. Universal life, you can. Term life, you can. Whole life, you cannot. Right? With certain exceptions. Okay. So I like this as a tax sheltering idea. Hey, let's use this as a shelter and a savings account with a bunch of extra benefits thrown in. Right? And it's a pretty basic deal. Now, this is actually the one I like the best, guys. This is just a basic life insurance policy without overfunding it, which means you're going to maximize your benefit, right? This is an older client, a 61-year-old, right? $15,000 a year. Maybe this client has a $500,000 IRA, and this is why I love this one so much. That $500,000 IRA, if I take out 5%, I know I can take out $25,000 a year, pay taxes on it, right? Maybe I'll net 20 or 18, plop 15 into the life insurance and spend the rest or do whatever you want, doesn't matter, right? But what this life insurance illustration does is it shows somebody how to turn their taxable $500,000 IRA into a tax-free life insurance policy. Simple, right? Let's turn your taxable $500,000 IRA into a tax-free life insurance policy. Okay? So over time, please mute your phones. If your phone's not muted, please mute it. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. It's a little button on your phone that's got a microphone and a cross that says mute. Okay? Thank you. So as this person's continuing to fund, this is something where we're going to say, hey, you don't want to ever stop putting money in here. Right? Because it's the same thing. We're going to build some cash, but I'm not, the cash is not my primary goal here. My goal here is to get the money out of my IRA and put it into a tax-free insurance. Again, by the time I get to life expectancy, I've now put in, gotten almost $600,000 or $700,000 into the tax-free drawer. Right. So when my kids inherit my money, they're not going to have to pay taxes on any of it. Right. It's the simplest solution for getting money out of taxable into tax-free. Is there long-term care or chronic illness benefit on here? Sure. Right. If they want it, then they can use it. But it's a very, very simple solution, right? So they're still going to have, and if we do this correctly, they're still going to have their $500,000 IRA. Still got your $500,000 IRA, but now you've got a $637,000 tax-free insurance policy on top of that. And this thing is obviously, they don't have to fund this. This thing is just a cash cow. And I'll tell people, look, after a certain number of years, if you don't want to fund it, you can stop funding it. And, this policy just won't grow anymore. But my gosh, if you're putting in $15,000 and your cash goes from $207 to $226, if it goes up by, $19,000 or 18, it says right here, $18,000, why would you not want to fund it? Is there anywhere else tax-free that you can put in 15 and have it grow by that much and then increase your benefits for long-term care also? So, my other question to you would be, when I'm talking about life insurance, if I'm able to fund this out of the IRA and make it better for their estate, and there's long-term care benefit or chronic illness benefit wrapped up in here, my question to you is, how much is that long-term care benefit actually costing your client? Right? How much is it costing? Well, they're making more money than they're putting in, so in my view, that's not costing them anything. Why would they not want some additional benefits if it doesn't cost them any extra money? All right. So 3 very different examples, right? We had the $50,000 UL. We had the upfront loaded whole life. We've got just the standard whole life. Right. This could also be a redirection of 401k, TSP, retirement account money also. Right. But we're not making these super complicated. We're not comparing them to other investments. We're not talking about rate of return. We're just saying, hey, this is a pretty good deal. You get to put money into something, tax shelter it, get some tax-free cash. Oh, and there's benefits to your estate and long-term care benefit. That's not a bad deal. I don't think anybody would think it's a bad deal. The last one is a overfunded universal life for somebody who really wants to build benefit. And then, you might think this is for cash, but in this scenario, we're not going to reduce the death benefit. We're going to allow the sucker to grow, right? We may stop funding it. But this is an actual client that we had that was saving a significant amount of money and had a couple $1 million in their IRAs, right? Well, those couple $1 million are going to get obliterated by taxes. Why don't we have, and this is the way we position it, potentially, right? Why don't we go ahead? You're over 59.5, so your IRAs can do this. Why don't we have your IRA buy an insurance policy? Novel concept, right? If your IRA buys an insurance policy by the time you reach life expectancy, rather than leaving behind a taxable IRA, what if we left behind a $7 million tax-free life insurance policy? Spend all your other money, spend all your savings, spend all your other stuff, but rather than leaving behind a taxable IRA, why don't we leave behind a $6 or $7 million tax-free life insurance policy? In fact, this client got on the phone with his kids and said to them, hey, if I'm not able to fund this down the road, you guys should continue funding it. You'd be crazy not to. This thing is going to make a killing for you guys if you want to. So 4 really, really different examples, right? 2 universal life scenarios, 2 whole life scenarios. If you can't sell this, this is like the best thing ever. And somebody might say, well, what's my downside here? There's no downside, right? Because this is being paid for by an IRA. It's not coming out of his pocket. If he loses his job, it doesn't matter, right? If he retires early, if the stock market goes down, whatever happens, none of that stuff's going to affect this thing. If taxes get much worse later, thank goodness he has this deal, right? But it's not about the product, guys. It's how you position it, and it's how you use it in a macro strategy. But I just wanted to give you guys some insights on how you might be able to talk to people about really knowing and understanding and wanting more life insurance, right? And it doesn't matter what type or what company, as long as you're there to explain the strategy and plan it out for them, your clients are going to be much, much better off, right? And, adding an additional revenue stream to your practice, probably going to kill you either, right? I always tell people the renewals from life insurance are better than anything because they last forever and they get vested. So it's better in your pocket. It's better for your client. It's a win-win. Just wanted to introduce you guys if you weren't familiar, and if you are familiar, then then let's go out and sell some more life insurance. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. I know these things go by real quick, but I'll continue to do whatever other topics you guys are interested in, and we'll go back to case review and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully you're doing well out there. And I had a team meeting today with my staff talking about how this is really this time that we're in right now is our Super Bowl, right? This is our time to shine and really help people out. If the market's going well, everybody's making money, who cares, right? You're not providing any value. Nobody is. Everybody's making money no matter what's happening, right? You can pretend like your clients are making money because of you, but you had nothing to do with it. It's really in this kind of time right now when there's a lot of uncertainty going on where we really have an opportunity to shine and stand apart from everybody else. We're talking about strategy, right? We're not talking about product, and our strategy should work no matter what. Tax rates go up or down, interest rates go up or down, stock market goes up or down, inflation goes up or down. Is our strategy going to work? Absolutely. Is Mr. Joe Schmo stockbroker down the street, is their strategy going to work? No, absolutely not. All right, thank you. Have a great week, everybody. And hopefully this was helpful.